Hello, everyone. It's Leah Tate. It's 11:05, and I hope that everyone is back from a much-needed break. Ms. Berteau, can you please call the roll?
Yes. Kasuga.
Here.
Cervantes.
Here.
Fu.
Here.
Thank you. Harbsheet.
Here.
Nystrom.
Here.
Phillips.
Here.
Scate.
Here.
Rogers.
Here.
Here.
Roll is complete.
Great. Thanks to everyone for being so prompt and getting back on time. So let's dive back in to agenda item number 9. This is the Budget Ad Hoc Committee report and consideration of committee recommendations. We have been hearing and board questions to staff. I'd still like to open it up and make sure that all board members have asked all of their questions. Dr. Rogers, I see your hand is up. Is that a remnant?
No, this is new.
Oh, welcome.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Tate. During the break, Ms. Nystrom, who is on the budget committee with me, she asked a very good question just to see if we had any information about fund conditions for other boards, just to see maybe where we fall in comparison. And if you take a look in the combined packet in the section where the DCA gave their update, if you look on pages 245 through 247, it's sideways, so you'll just have to turn your head a little bit. If you look at those 3 pages, you'll be able to see the other boards within DCA. If you look at the very last column, it shows the estimated months of reserve. So that will give you just a little bit of context for where the Board of Psychology falls in relation to other boards. So I just wanted to point that out if board members wanted to take a look.
Okay, I'm looking for more board comment or questions. Okay, I'm double checking. Okay.
That was Dr. Harpsheets. That's really useful information. Thank you so much for bringing that to our attention, Ms. Riscate and Dr. Rogers.
Thank you so much, Dr. Harpsheets.
Thank you. Okay, I'm triple checking. I see no other board comments. Can we please open it up for public comment at this time, Mr. Moderator?
We are now open for public comment on agenda item 9. If you would like to make a comment, please type the word comment into the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send that comment to all participants. If you are a dial-in user, please dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests for comments. And our first request for comment comes from Jolinder Crow. Hold on just a moment, please.
Hi, good morning again. Jolinder Crow at the California Psychological Association. I just wanted to clarify something. I just want to confirm, is it true, and maybe if the person from the budget office is still on, is it true that none of the regulatory boards in California get any support from the state budget? In other words, are all regulatory boards required to be self-sustaining?
Hi, Dr. Linda Crow.
Hello, Dr. Linda Crow. This is John Burke. I'm not sure that the DCA Budgets Office will be able to respond to public comment today, but it is my understanding that the boards under DCA are specially funded agencies and do not receive any monies from the general fund.
And does that include the medical board?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
And our next request for comment is from Elizabeth Winkelmann, hold on just a moment and we will send you a request to unmute your microphone.
Dr. Elizabeth Winkelmann from the California Psychological Association. I just wanted to say I appreciate the opportunity to comment. I appreciate that the board does need to increase fees, and it is held off for a very long time on increasing those fees. However, I wanted to just emphasize that the proposed increases would be a significant burden on many applicants and licensees, especially those with student debt. I know you're all aware of this, but I just wanted to mention it on behalf of our CPA members and other applicants and licensees, and to encourage the board to continue to explore and consider any ways that are possible to keep these increases to a minimum. Thank you.
And those are all the requests for comments we have at the moment. Do you wish to close public comments at this time?
Yes, please. That would be great. Back to the board for any additional comments or perhaps a motion, if I may ask.
Hi, Dr. Tate. This is Shakonda Rogers. If you take a look at the screen here, this is the recommendation from the board and staff. So I'll just read it aloud for everyone. The Budget Committee recommends the board increase its fees, with the application fees covering the cost of processing and the renewal fees as presented in Scenario 3 and Attachment E, the statutory minimum. Staff recommends the board adopt the statutory maximum as presented by staff. Staff will then prepare answers to the Assembly Committee on Business and Professions Fee Background Information Questionnaire and seek an author to make the necessary statutory changes. So that is the recommendation, and could we get a motion?
So moved. This is Dr. Kasuga.
This is Dr. Tate, and I second the motion. Any other board comment at this time?
This is Dr. Harbsheets. Could I ask a question about the motion?
Yes, go ahead.
So when Ms. Sorick was speaking earlier, providing some clarification, I understood her to say that when if this motion passes, when the information is presented to the committee, the Assembly Committee on Business and Professions, that any reductions in the cost to process these different applications would be taken into account. So whether it's through automation or through other kinds of time-saving changes, would that situation actually be included in the way this motion is worded?
Hi, this is Antoinette. So just to clarify, this motion incorporates the suggested amendments that were in section 2987 that were up earlier. Those establish the statutory minimums and maximums. What we would do as the follow-up step is do the section 100, and that's a shorter regulatory framework we would seek the minimums that are established here, and that is just to keep the board solvent. Otherwise, the board will not have any funds in fiscal year 24-25 if we do not get this bill passed. So step one is we get this bill passed. We get the fees established at the minimum levels laid out in the language here. And then step two would be the section 100. Step three is that growth scenario where we would look at a larger fee, which would put into consideration the additional staff resources, and that would have to be justified by processing and whatnot. So that's what I was talking about with that. With this, we would be establishing it at the minimum level, and that's the fee that we would be pursuing.
Okay, so this really just starts the process and the other piece comes in at a different step in the process.
Exactly. And at that point, at step 3, with the growth scenario, there may be the changes to the automation and the policies from pathways that will have an impact on the time it takes to process an application. But we'll have to take a look at that time and see if that
Okay.
has made any impact on the number of hours going into each process.
Okay, thank you.
I hope that helps.
Yeah, it does, definitely. Thanks.
So we have a motion and a second. Any other board comment before we call the roll? Okay, double and triple checking. I see no hands. Ms. Pruteau, can you please call the roll?
Kasuga.
You'll need public comment again, Dr. Tate.
That's what I
Oh,
thought.
do I need to do it again? I can. Happy to do it. Mr. Moderator, would you please open public comment?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
We are once again open for public comment on the motion this time. If you would like to make a comment, please type the word comment into the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send that comment to all participants. If you are a dial-in user, please dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests for public comment. Let us take just a moment now to see if we receive a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to close comments at this time?
Yes, please, and thank you. Sorry for jumping the gun there. I'm perusing. I see no board member hands. Ms. Pruteau, can you please call the roll?
Kasuga.
Aye.
Cervantes.
Aye.
Fu.
Aye.
Harb Sheets.
Aye.
Nystrom.
Aye.
Phillips.
Aye.
Frescate.
Aye.
Rogers.
Aye.
Tate.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Motion passes. Thank you for all of your hard work on this item. Before we move on to the agenda item number 10, I just wanted to give you the trajectory. We're going to do a few more agenda items, looking at a break for lunch right around 12:30. And I understand we do have several public sites, so I understand people will have to order food or maybe go out to pick up lunch. So I'm trying to give you a time frame. So next, we're going to agenda item number 10. This is the licensing report. Ms. Chung, you have the floor.
Thank you, Dr. Tate. Good morning, board members. As of April 12, 2022, we have 22,289 licensed psychologists and 1,450 registered psychological associates. It includes 19,731 current psychologists and 2,558 psychologists who are inactive. You may find more details in Attachment A, which is the Licensing Population Report. This report provides a snapshot of the number of psychologists and psychological associates in each status at the time the report was generated. In Attachment B, for the application workload reports, you will find the statistics for both psychologist license and psychological associate registration applications from October 2021 through March 2022. It shows the number of transactions that are being worked on by staff and is captured in Breeze. We have observed similar trends there as compared to the report made at the last board meeting. Attachment D provides 12-month period data of the total number of candidates and first-timers who have taken the EPPP or complete and the passing rate. Candidates who took the EPPP for the first time in February 2022 show a higher percentage of passing rate compared to previous months, but the passing percentage rate dropped a little bit for complete in the same month. We see also a similar trend in the overall passing rate for the month of February. As a follow-up to past conversations for legislation requesting additional data in the Health Profession Survey, AB 133 was chaptered into the law. It requires boards that regulate healing arts licensees and registrations to request workforce data from them for future workforce planning. The Department of Healthcare Access and Information, HCAI, survey questions will be implemented in briefs and adding them to the renewals as of July 13, 2022 as scheduled. For your information, HCAI was formerly the Office of Statewide Health Planning and Development, what we always call them as OSHPORT in short. In Attachment C, the numbers of applications and notifications received are provided for a 12-month period from April 2021 through March 2022. The number shows an overall increase of about 100 applications or notifications when comparing to the same 12-month period as reported to the board last year. A 6-month overview of the average processing timeframes in business days is provided in Attachment E. We have observed an increase in the average processing timeframes for both psychologists and psychological associate applications. The vacancy in the unit since February has likely contributed to the lengthened timeframes, but the vacancy has now been filled with new staff started this past Monday to help with the application review and processing. With the lengthened timeframes, we are concerned and we very much want to get qualified applicants licensed or registered as quickly as we can so they can serve the communities. With that goal in mind, staff are taking the following measures to proactively address the timeframes with the resources available. We have long-term permanent solutions as listed on the memo. The first one is to streamline the application process through pathways to licensure regulations, which is underway. And then we would like to achieve solvency and obtain additional funding for the board through regulatory and legislative fee change proposals. Once the structural imbalance has been addressed with a fee change to the board will seek additional resources via a budget change proposal, which is also known as the BCP. And then the third solutions that staff came up with is to redirect an office technician position from the Central Services Unit to the licensing unit to assist with administrative support of the unit. There are also short-term temporary solutions that staff are working on. The first one is we have a retired annuitant to work full-time in April, assisting with the processing of applications, which has been very helpful. And we are also looking for additional cost savings to potentially extend this temporary help into the next 2 months for our retired annuitants to work half-time to help with the workload. Last but not least, we also have our special project coordinator to be trained alongside with our new licensing analyst so that the coordinator will be able to assist with our workload and working as a 50% licensing analyst at the board. And we will be collecting data in the upcoming weeks for the next monthly processing timeframes update, and we anticipate to see gradual improvement over time. And this report is for informational only. And this concludes my report, and happy to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Chung. Any board comments? Questions?
This is Dr. Harpsheets. I just want to affirm, having worked closely with the licensing unit, how very hard they are working and how much they do care about these lengthy processing times, and their understanding of what that means to people in the profession trying to get out there and serve the public. So I want to say thank you to all of them for the work that they are doing.
Hi, this is Antoinette. Just to kind of reiterate what both Ms. Chung as well as Dr. Harpsheets mentioned, I think for this, on behalf of the staff, we're all feeling not real positive about these turnaround times. I have heard from individual analysts that they don't like that this is taking so long, and there's a sensitivity to the level of customer service that we're able to provide right now, and being responsive to the needs of our applicants. So on behalf of the licensing staff, I think that we all feel like we would like to do better, and that we can do better given additional support and resources. So hopefully with these short-term and long-term adjustments, we can be kind of better on our end, and the result will be better on the end user. So I just wanted to kind of add that as well.
Thank you, Ms. Sorick. Any other board comment? I'll just wait a few seconds for you guys to get your hands up. I do not see any other board members. Mr. Moderator, can we please open up public comment?
We are now open for public comment on item 10. If you would like to make a comment, please type the word comment into the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send that comment to all participants. If you are a dial-in user, please dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests for comments. And we have comments rolling in. First from Dr. Michelle Willingham. Bear with us just a moment, and we will send you a request to unmute your microphone.
Thank you. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Just checking. Can you hear me?
Dr. Willingham, we can hear you. Go ahead, please. If someone from the audience would be willing to type into the Q&A box that we can hear Dr. Willingham, that would be appreciated.
I believe I'm unmuted, but I have no confirmation I can be heard.
We can hear you. We have stated so in the public comments. Let's pull up a technical slide. Bear with us just a moment, please. We are looking for slide number 9, please. No, from the public comment.
Hello, can I be heard?
Yes, we can hear you, Dr. Willingham.
Okay, sorry, I had no confirmation that you could hear me, so I was just trying to make sure. Thank you, and I apologize for that. My name is Dr. Michelle Willingham. I am a licensed psychologist, a CPA board member, the training director for an accredited internship at a university counseling center, and a private practitioner who employs postdoc psychological associates. And I'm speaking today on behalf of CPA members, my colleagues in the clinical training community, and our interns, associates, and applicants for licensure. I will pause to acknowledge everything I've heard already today on efforts by the board, the staff, to address these issues. And yet, it is imperative that the members of this board fully understand the detrimental impact extended processing times and lack of communication from staff are having on applicants attempting to navigate the already difficult path toward licensure, and on the Californians unable to access care from would-be licensed psychologists and the trainees they could be supervising. Unmet mental health needs in California were at crisis levels before the pandemic. And according to the Kaiser Family Foundation, last fall, nearly 30% of California adults reported needing but not having access to counseling or therapy. For many, this is due to provider shortages. And while would-be psychologists are eager to help meet these urgent needs, they are stalled, waiting, wondering why their check was cashed 3 months ago, but they still have heard nothing about their permission to take the EPPP. Training psychologists invest anywhere from 4 to 7 years into their graduate education, with many taking student loan debt out ranging from $160,000 to $220,000. And then they invest an additional year completing required postdoc clinical hours, often with little or no pay. Imagine reaching the end of all that preparation and facing the financial pressure of all that debt. You're finally ready to launch your career as a licensed psychologist and start repaying those loans. But that can't happen because your current published wait times are 3+ months for each step of the process. That doesn't mean applicants wait 3 months to get licensed. It means if everything goes perfectly, it takes no less than 12 months to get a license in California. It took my own associate 3 months after she applied to receive permission to take the EPPP, which she took immediately and passed. She waited another 3 months for permission to take the CPLEE, which again, she immediately took and passed. And then her
30
request for
seconds.
initial license took over 3 months after that. Her original application date was February 28th, 2021. She received her license March 15th, 2022. That's another year with little or no pay and all that financial pressure of student loan repayment. In her case, everything went smoothly. But even the slightest issue with an applicant's documents can take another 3 months or more. Because when an applicant has questions or needs more information, they can't reach anyone by phone or email.
That's
Emails
your
and
time.
voicemails. I respectfully would request to finish my thoughts. There just a few more moments. Emails and voicemails are routinely ignored, and not everyone is lucky. I've heard from applicants who waited 6 months, even over a full year, with no response to emails or phone calls. Some applicants are even applying for licensure in neighboring states simply so they can get access to take the EPPP, which takes far less time. It simply doesn't make sense that this system, which is based on fee for service, as we've heard this morning, is broken. And I just would urge the board to prioritize and continue prioritizing addressing these concerns so that California psychologists can ease the access to care burdens of California and who desperately need our support. Thank you.
Thank you, and we appreciate your comments. And just as a reminder, when I started the board meeting, comments are limited to 2 minutes, 30 seconds, just because our agenda is so full today. But thank you for comment.
Next on the list, we have Elizabeth Winkelmann. Hold on just a moment, please, and we will send you a request to unmute your microphone.
Thank you. This is Dr. Elizabeth Winkelmann from the California Board of Psychology. I wanted to, many of my comments are similar to what Dr. Willingham has already said, so I won't go into as much detail. I definitely do appreciate the efforts that are underway to improve the wait times for the licensing applications and various steps along the way. I wanted to also emphasize the significance and the urgency of this problem. As Dr. Willingham mentioned, it's not simply at one phase that a person would wait 3 months, but at 3 or 4 different times in the application process. On our listserv within the past few months, we have heard from people who waited 4 months, 6 months, and even 12 months to get one step along the way in the process and who did not hear back from the board to inquiries as to what the holdup was. And I think that is another important piece here, is getting responses to what the delays are. And so people can fix anything if there's anything wrong. However, in the cases I've heard from, there was actually nothing wrong with the applications, but they were just simply delayed. It's really causing hardship to our applicants. It's a barrier to access to the profession to have such a delay. It's a financial hardship for people who are in debt, and it's reducing access to care for applicants who could already be providing more services. And the uncertainty of the lack of response to emails and voicemails is very difficult. So I really just want to emphasize the importance, urge you to continue to work at this. And also, if there's a possible, I'm also wondering, if there's any other explanation for why this is taking so much longer. I know you're down one staff, I believe, or 1.5 staff members at this point, but as far as I know, the licensed psychologist levels are approximately the same. So it would be helpful if I could also understand, or the public could understand, what else might be contributing to these delays. And I thank you for your attention to this very, very important issue.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have a comment from Stacy Fields. Bear with us just a moment, and we will send you a request to unmute your microphone.
Me?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Yes. Hi, my name is Dr. Stacy Fields. I am a psychological associate. Thank you all for your time. I wanted to specifically discuss the notification to add change primary supervisor. I know we talked a lot about the licensing, so I just want to specifically address that portion, and that takes just as equally long. It takes 3 months right now, and I'm actually currently waiting for that. And it is really an access issue to the patients or clients, whichever you prefer to use, and that they are, I currently have a job waiting for me, but I'm unable to start due to these long wait times, as everyone has so, proficiently discussed. And I just wanted to express my frustration as someone who is waiting. And especially because the private practice that I hope to be working for soon is it specializes in addiction and harm reduction, and my supervisor has had to refer patients to other clinicians due to her full caseload, and her other two postdoctoral candidates are full as well, has had to refer these clients. We work from a harm reduction model, and other clinicians may not do that, and has had to refer these patients to them who maybe they don't have that. And so I just wanted to bring that to the attention and just kind of speak my frustration, and didn't want to take up too much of your time, but thank you for hearing me out. And also just wanted to say that it may also be an issue for continuity of care, having to wait 3 months just to change a supervisor. I can't accrue hours right now. I don't have income, just having to wait. So thank you so much for your time.
All right. Next, we have a comment from Nicole Duarte. Bear with us just a moment, and we will send you a request to unmute your microphone.
I'm assuming so. Okay, my name is Dr. Nicole Duarte, and I'm a licensed psychologist, and I have a private practice, and recently decided to bring on a couple psychological associates. And I definitely just have to reflect some of the frustration that the last participant was talking about. So I brought on 3 people. One was a change of supervisor, already a registered psychological assistant at the time. That took over 3 months. Then I had 2 psychological associates coming on, and that took well over 3 months. And the interesting and frustrating part about that is I've had psychological assistants before, so I've written up SPE plans that have been accepted by the board first time around. I used the template from the board website for the SPE plan. So certainly something that the board was holding out as an acceptable SPE plan. And what happened this time around is one of the SPE plans was kicked back as needing some additional information. It ended up being a sentence or 2 just saying how I was going to be assessing the associate throughout the process. And so when that happened, I assumed that the other 2 would be kicked back as well. That didn't happen. So I guess something to note, it sounds like they're adding more staff to process these applications, but I think training is really important as well, so that when they're looking at these applications, you know, different analysts are processing the applications uniformly across the board. So it was surprising and frustrating to get one kicked back as insufficient, but the other two were accepted by different analysts. And then, of course, we went through the process of immediately providing the additional information, both via email and snail mail. We asked for confirmation, didn't get anything. The analyst was actually out and had a temporary analyst covering for them. The 60 days almost lapsed until we reached out to the board and said, you know, we don't want to have to reinitiate the entire application. And then it was finally approved. So again, all said and done, it was July that I started to try to hire the psychological associates, and they were finally up and working January of this year. And again, I was having to do the same thing that the last speaker talked about, which was refer patients out because we were full, which was why I was looking for additional staff. So
30 seconds.
okay, and that's really all. I'll leave it with that. But so I do acknowledge again the additional staff, and that's great to hear. But I think the highlight for my portion is just also that uniformity when you send in an application. All analysts should hopefully be looking at it with the same eye, and hopefully if one's accepted, it would be accepted by another analyst. All right, thank you for hearing me out.
Next, we have Janet Farrell. Hold on just a moment, and we will send you a request to unmute your microphone.
Unmuted. Am I unmuted now?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Following up on what Dr. Fields and Dr. Duarte just talked about in terms of psychological assistance, I'm from the San Diego Psychological Association, and we are looking into this and trying to help our younger members and our students. And one of the things that's coming up is the fact that the BBS does not require a switch when there's a switch of of one of their assistants to a new supervisor. If they're both if they both have numbers, there's no need to even have any contact with the BBS at that time. Rather, with the BOP, we have to do that. And what happens when it's just such an automatic process. But what seems to happen based on the wait times is it gets put in the queue down below the other much more labor intensive applications. And that to us seems needless and inefficient. And we understand the lack of staff and how hard they're working. But I think to have some kind of organization of these applications into levels of labor intensity might be helpful. Like, look at the grocery store model. First of all, you could not go in the store at all like the BBS does, or you could use the self-serve, which would be putting this transfer of supervisors for psychological associates right onto the Breeze system. That would be one thing. Another possibility would be the express line, where the analyst would take those very simple one-step, I assume, processes like a transfer of supervisors, put them over into a separate pile of low-hanging fruit and get through
30
those.
seconds.
Maybe an hour a day spent on those very simple things, so that then when we look up and see the wait times, we see a different reflection for the much shorter and simpler processes, rather than having all of them be the same date in January months back. So that is just a suggestion that I would hope would not require any regulatory change or any addition of staff, just
Time.
to add that. Thank you very much.
And those are all our public comment requests for public comment at the moment. Do you wish to close comments at this time?
Yes, please. And thank you for your assistance. Ms. Chung, would you like to respond?
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Tate. Regarding the question raised by Dr. Winkelmann on the staffing number. So when we are at our shortest time frame, we had actually 4.5 licensing analysts working on the psychologist application, and then we have 2 dedicated retired Newtons working on the psychological associate registration back then. We also had 2 OT that was assisting with any administrative issue in the unit. So we were down more than 1 staff compared to previously. So I just want to highlight that, and thank you.
Perfect. Any other? Oh, Mr. Fu, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tate, and Ms. Chung. Thank you so much for your clarification on that. I just want to ask you a couple questions to help me better understand some of what I've heard. So what I've heard from you is actually you're not down 1 staff, but you're actually down 3 full-time staff. Is that correct?
I'm down 1 permanent full-time, one half-time permanent staff, and then 2 retired Newtons. They cannot be full-time, so I think they're equivalent to a half-time for both of them.
So
And then
I'm
1
hearing
full-time OT. Sorry.
No, sorry, my apologies. I didn't mean to cut you off. So I'm actually hearing, so if we have 2 retired annuitants, that's 1 FTE equivalent. You have 1 analyst down, and you also have 1, I think you said, assistant down as well?
Yes.
So you're looking at about 3 full-time equivalents in terms of staffing that aren't currently being filled. Is that correct?
Yes.
And that is 3 out of how many? If you were fully staffed, what would the FTE equivalent be?
I would have 9. Didn't count my AGPA, so 10 would be everybody. But yes, it would be 9 for fully staffed to work on the application and administrative.
And if I also read the charts correctly, you're also seeing an increase in applications. Is that correct?
Yes.
So what I'm hearing is you have both an inflow and an outflow challenge that you're experiencing. So you're seeing an increase in applications, but you're at 70% of the workforce. Is that correct?
Correct.
And what are the obstacles to hiring new staff that are the constraints that you have to face when you're looking to hire new staff?
To hire new staff, because we are fixed with the number of personal body that we are provided, in order to get extra new staff on hand, we'll need to go through the budget change proposal. Of course, that will also be pending on the board's budget, what it is allowed for us to request based on the resource available. So that is a lengthy process. So I think I would say that would be the biggest challenge.
So in an ideal world, if you incorporate the time needed for both the budget change proposal, the BCP, and then the recruitment process, what's the length of time on that? Because I know I know that if it was all under you, it would be tomorrow there would be a JD out in the world, and you would be able to, and you would interview like 48 hours afterwards of getting the applications in. But given the reality of constraints, what does that realistically look like between the BCP and recruitment times generally? Because we have to go through a civil service system that is outside the control of the board of psychology.
Okay, so from my understanding, the BCP process, we start requests for the authority 1 year ahead. And then we will get the, if it is approved, then we will get the authority the next fiscal year. And then once we have that, then we can proceed with the hiring process, which is initiating a package to request that position for hiring, and establishing duties and everything else that ready the position to be incorporated into the licensing unit. And then that process takes about a month or two if workloads allowed by the department. And then we will have to wait for the advertising period to be over once that job is posted. And then it will take a month or two for us to review applications and going through the interview process. And then we'll probably wait for another month that is necessary to get approval for all the human resources paperwork that is necessary. And then by then, we will be hopefully to get clearance to obtain a new staff.
Understood. And one last question, Ms. Chung. I can imagine how difficult it was to hear some of the feedback during public comment, because you are a human at the end of the day, and I knowing you and how much pride you take in your work, hearing that folks aren't necessarily hearing back in a timely manner, I'm sure is disappointing to you and not reflective of what you want to do and what you want your team to do in terms of being at their best. Given the constraints that you're experiencing, both in terms of external factors outside of your control, such as the process which you described about the budget change proposals and the hiring, can you describe some of the actions you've taken to try to shorten the times and while recognizing that you are short-staffed and you have and there are not always all the levers you can pull that you can independently just do on your own?
Yes, absolutely. I am disappointed, and I would also very much like to help our applicants to move forward with their process. So I have helped out with the process myself and in answering inquiries, because I encourage applicants whenever I contacted them, letting them know, trying to give them the reality of the workload here, and then that we're trying our best to help them. And I extend my invitation for them to contact me if they need any help with their process, want to have any questions, and I'm always trying to give them my contact information whenever they need help with. So this is just one of the things that I do personally, and I always encourage my staff that I know that the workload is heavy, but we are always trying to help our applicants so that they can get their license and registrations as quickly as possible, knowing that they're also burdened by a lot of constraints on their end, especially for the newly graduate licensed applicants that they want to get into the workforce and to serve the public. We truly understand that. So yes, I hope that answered the question.
Thank you, Ms. Chung. That does answer my question, and I really do hope that. And what was made, actually, let me phrase it this way. I think what was made clear to me in your responses to my question is that you really see you and your team as partners in this process to help applicants through the process. And while it's not ideal right now in terms of the times, this is truly a partnership, and it's not an adversarial system in many ways that I think sometimes it can feel like. So I appreciate those responses and look forward to, I think, your continued efforts to address these concerns and shorten these times to help our applicants through this process. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other board comment?
This is Dr. Harpsheets.
Oh, I see you. Go ahead.
Yeah, here I am. I wanted to ask Ms. Chung, we heard from people who are concerned about the change of supervisor length of time, and a suggestion that perhaps they that process could be handled somehow separately. If it's a quick processing, can you address one? Is it a quick process, as it seems to be with the BBS, where it doesn't require apparently contact with them? And if so, to make a change like that, what would be required? Is it a procedural change that is within the board's control that could be done quickly, or I'm just not sure. So if you could help us understand that, it seems worthwhile considering.
Thank you, Dr. Hopsheets. So the notification process regarding change of supervisors, it is similar to somewhat to the initial application for the registrations, but of course, we don't have to worry about the other elements other than the qualifications of and responsibilities of the supervisor. So that part would be seemingly simpler than the application process itself. So what happened is we have, before we are able to get the retired annuitants back on board to help with the process, with the licensing analyst, it was impossible to have a dedicated staff to just work on the notification process, because we would want to also get all the applicants to get their license in the timeliest manner possible. So that's why it was included into all the analyst queue, so that everybody can process all the applications as a first come, first serve basis. But with the temporary help that we have right now, we are able to process that notification a little bit quicker. And especially we will be having our special projects coordinator trained alongside with our new analyst to help out with the licensing process. I think we can, in the short term, we're able to have those notifications processed quicker. I hope that helps.
Yeah, so it sounds like what you're saying is that you are attending to those, you can pull them out of the general queue at this point with that extra help to kind of get those change of supervisors moving a little more quickly. Did I understand that right, Mrs. Chung?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, that's encouraging. Thank you.
No problem.
Any more board comment? I'm double checking. I do not see anything. Ms. Chung, I would just like to say thank you for really pushing through a difficult situation with higher levels of applications and lower levels of staffing. It's kind of a perfect storm. But thank you for persevering. And thank you to our public commenters. We appreciate hearing you. And I appreciate you being part of the process and joining us and voicing your concerns. And we are diligently working on it. Okay, with that, that is an informational only comment. So we can move on to agenda item number 11, which is the Continuing Education and Renewals Report by Ms. McCochran.
This is Mr. Glassbeagle. I'll be taking over for Mr. McCochran today.
Oh, Mr. Glassbeagle, go ahead.
Good morning again, board members. It's almost afternoon. Included in your meeting materials under agenda item 11 is the Continuing Education and Renewals Report. This is the same material provided at each meeting regarding renewals, renewal processes online and in paper, as well as continuing education, pass and fail rates. Additionally, in this memo for this meeting, we have the Continuing Professional Development Implementation Plan. The Continuing Professional Development Regulatory Package will be discussed later in the agenda, but for review, well, for informational purposes only, is the implementation plan, which lays out the steps staff will take upon notification of approval of this regulatory package by the Office of Administrative Law. And the following changes that we would make are that we would update on our website, we'd add the order of adoption and the information related to the package. Once the items are added to the website, we will email links to the advisory and order of adoption to our stakeholders, as well as post it on social media. We will update the board's continuing education page to reflect the new requirements. We will create a frequently asked questions document after the continuing professional development regulations go into effect. This FAQ will be used to further clarify these requirements using questions from licensees and information gathered from the continuing professional development audits. Once that document is created, it will be added to the board's regulatory page and the CE page referenced above. And notifications of those will be sent to licensees and stakeholders. Along with the order of adoption in the Form 400 under Step 1, there will be an advisory, which will also be laid out. And there is a optional form that can be utilized by licensees to track the pieces of continuing professional development that they are collecting and where those fall in what categories those are related to. And for information, just for your reference, this is on page 343 of the combined packet. I am happy to answer any questions regarding the materials provided or the continuing professional development implementation plan. Thank you very much.
Do any board members have questions for Mr. Glass-Steagall? I'm just checking. I do not see any hands. Mr. Moderator, can you please open public comment?
Absolutely. We are open for public comment. If you would like to make a comment, please type the word comment into the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send that comment to all participants. If you are a dial-in user, please dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests for comments. And our first comment comes from Jolinder Crow. Bear with us just a moment, and we will send you a request to unmute the microphone.
Hi again, Jolinder Crow, California Psychological Association. First, I just would like to say that we all probably owe ourselves a pat on the back for having talked about these new regulations for so many years. So it's great to see that they're coming to fruition. On behalf of CPA, I just want to offer our organization as a resource as you're going through the process of developing the FAQs, the forms. Some people on the call may not know that CPA for many years administered the MCEP program, as it was called then. We have a lot of very deep experience in the continuing education arena. Also, I, along with others, have worked with the board alongside the board throughout the development of these proposed regulations. So if we can be of any help just reviewing things from the perspective of the reader, from your licensee perspective, please let us know. We're more than happy to help because I know we all want to get this right and make it as clear as possible once these come out. So just let us know, and we're here to help as in any way that we can. Thank you.
And that's our request for comment at the moment. Do you wish to close comments for the time?
Yes, please. Thank you very much. I'm just double checking. Oh,
Let me take that back.
okay.
GK would like to make a comment. Hold on just a moment. We will send you a request to unmute your microphone. GK, we see that you have unmuted your microphone.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes, go ahead, please.
This is regarding the comment on the previous item they were talking of understaffing. I just want to know that if the board has made any possibilities of recruiting staff from other agencies of DCS, which I hope they know it's a possibility because it was a previous issue with the Board of Registered Nursing. and they have already they have in the prior when there are issues, they have requested staff from other entities of DC and even from outside who can come and help the board process those applications. So I'm not sure if the board is aware. I'm sure they should have aware of it, but I'm not if they've gone through the process of reaching out to other boards, because the BPC is going to take a long time, so they can at least look at this possibility. Thank you.
And this time, there are no more comments.
Thank you very much. You may close public comment. And let's move on to agenda item number 12, the enforcement report. Ms. Monterrubio, you have the floor. Oh, Ms. Sorick, I'm sorry. I see your hand up. Is that?
Sorry, just wanted to respond to the gentleman that just provided the public comment. I just wanted to address that is, temporary help is something that all of the programs are able to access. I think the issue and the concern for our program is the funding resources that we currently have, and we are looking at every possible avenue for overtime and using the retired annuitant temporary help to help with this current backlog. So we are utilizing temporary help as much as we have the funding for. So I just wanted to respond to that public comment.
Thank you, Ms. Sorick. And Ms. Monterrubio, sorry for the delay, but now you have the floor.
No problem. Good afternoon, board members. Agenda item 12 is the enforcement report, and attached to my report, you will find the overview of enforcement activity, conveying complaint, investigation, and discipline statistics to date for the current fiscal year. When I was preparing my report, the performance measures for the next quarter were not available, so they will be provided at our next board meeting. Since July 1st of 2021, we have received 742 complaints. All complaints have been opened and assigned to an enforcement analyst. Since July, we have issued 28 enforcement citations. Again, citations are issued for minor violations such as advertising or not renewing a license in a timely manner. Since July 1st, we have referred 39 cases to the Office of the Attorney General for formal discipline, and we are currently monitoring 45 active probationers. 18 are pulled, and of our 45 active probationers, 1 is out of compliance. Being out of compliance can result in a citation and fine or additional discipline. Are there any questions for me?
Any board members have comments or questions for Ms. Monterrubio at this time? I do not see anything. Mr. Moderator, can we please open public comment?
We are open for public comment on item 12. If you would like to make a comment, please type the word comment into the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send that comment to all participants. If you are a dial-in user, please dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests for comments. Let's take just a moment now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for comment, would you like to close comments at this time?
Yes, please, and thank you for your assistance. So what I'd like to do is, it is 12:09. I have my eye on the clock. Let's open up agenda item number 14 and get into it for about 20 minutes, break for lunch for 12:30 to 1:30, and dive back in. So agenda item number 14 is legislative and regulatory affairs updates, and Dr. Cervantes is the chairperson of that committee. And Dr. Cervantes.
Thank you, Dr. Tate. So on item number 14 on the agenda, I serve on this I serve as chair of the Legislative and Regulatory Affairs Committee alongside Drs. Kasuga and Dr. Phillips this year. I want to give a warm thank you to the team, the staff at the board for helping us get through our committee meetings. We have one more planned for this year. And so we have a lot for you today. So I'm going to get right to it to see how far on our agenda items we can get in the next 20 minutes. So we will then, I'm hoping we can get through a review of our work for 2021. And then after lunch, maybe we can get into our work for 2022 or what we have planned. So here we go. Item 14A, legislation from the 2021 legislative session, review and possible action. Item 1 in this section is board-sponsored legislation. This is in regards to SB 401 from Senator Pan, Healing Arts Psychology amendments to sections 2960 and 2960.1 of the Business and Professions Code regarding denial, suspension, and revocation for acts of sexual contact. This item begins on page 356 of the combined packet. Mr. Glass-Steagall?
Good morning. Thank you. Yeah, SB 401 is the board's bill. There has been no change that I'm aware of, but Ms. Costa does have the status of all bills right now. So the last status was that the bill was at the Assembly Rules Committee, and it was re-referred on June 17th, 2021. This is an informational only, as the board is in support of this bill as we are the sponsor.
Thank you, Mr. Glass-Steagall. Is there any board comment? Seeing none, could we open public comment on item 14A 1A?
We are now taking public comment on 14A1A. If you would like to make a comment, please type the word comment into the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send that comment to all participants. If you are a dial-in user, please dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests for comments. Let's take just a moment now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request, go ahead, please.
I was going to ask you if you could close public comment. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Moving on to item 14A2. These are bills with active positions taken by the board. This is an information item. So what we're going to do is hear updates on each of the bills, then open for board comment and then public comment. Item 14A2A, AB 32 begins on page 369 of the combined packet. Ms. Costa?
Thank you, Dr. Cervantes. Item 14A2 is AB 32 by Assemblymember Aguiar-Curry. This bill would require the State Department of Healthcare Services to indefinitely continue telehealth flexibilities in place of COVID-19 pandemic state of emergency. The board has a support position on this bill. AB 32 is a 2-year bill, and it is located in Senate Health but does not have a hearing date set. That concludes my remarks for AB 32. I am available for questions about this bill.
Okay, I'm going to go to the next item. Why don't we do the updates in sequence, and then we'll do the the board comment and public comment on all three. Item B is SB 731. uh, criminal records relief. This begins on page 400 of the combined packet. Go ahead, Ms. Costa.
Thank you. Item 14A2B is AB 731 by Senator Durazo. This bill amends Section 11105 of the Penal Code, which would prohibit the board from receiving conviction information for applicants to the board if their conviction was granted relief pursuant to specified sections of the Penal Code, so long as a period of 2 years has elapsed since the date the relief was granted and the applicant was not convicted of a new criminal offense. The board has an opposed position on this bill because it would hinder the board's ability to carry out its legislative mandate of consumer protection. This bill is located on the assembly floor and failed passage in 2021. The bill is up for reconsideration, but a vote has not been taken. That concludes my remarks for SB 731. I am available for questions about this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Costa. And item C of this agenda item is SB 772 Ochoa Bog, and it is Professions and Vocations Citations for Minor Violations. This item begins on page 449 of the combined packet. Ms. Costa.
Thank you. The final bill in this item is SB 772 by Senator Ochoa Bogue. This bill would prohibit the assessment of an administrative fine for a minor violation and would specify that a violation shall be considered minor if it meets specified conditions, including that the violation did not pose a serious health or safety threat and there is no evidence that the violation was willful. The board has an opposed unless amended position on this bill. The bill failed to pass out of the Senate and did not meet the House of Origin deadline from January 2022. Therefore, this bill is dead. That concludes my remarks for SB 772. I am available for questions about this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Costa. Now, is there any board comment on item 14A2? These are the 3 bills that we have active positions that Ms. Costa just provided updates on. I don't see any hands up. So why don't we move to public comment?
We are now taking public comment on 14A2, all 3 items A, B, and C. If you would like to make a comment, please type the word comment into the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send that comment to all participants. If you are a dial-in user, please dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests for comments. Let us take just a few moments now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, do you wish to close comments at this time?
Yes, please. Okay, thank you. So we're moving to item 14A3, and this begins on page 452 of the meeting packet. This is a summary of the watch bills that the board took a position of watch on in 2021. Most are now inactive and a few were chaptered. Are there any questions or comments from the board on item 14A3? We're not going to go through each bill because we've done that previously, but I want to have an opportunity to discuss if the board wishes. I don't see any hands. Can we do a public comment on item 14A3, watch bills from 2021 legislative session?
We are now open for public comment on the watch bills. If you would like to make a comment, please type the word comment into the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send that comment to all participants. If you are a dial-in user, please dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests for comment. Let us take just a moment now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for comment, would you like to close comments at this time?
Yes, please. So I just want to check in. We have 10 minutes before our scheduled lunch break, and we came to a good break in item 14.
I agree, Dr. Cervantes. Let's
Okay.
start our lunch now. It's 12:20, and we will see everyone back at 1:20. How does that sound? I'm
And
happy with it, so I hope everyone is too.
Yes, and then we'll start with 14B when we return. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you. Hello, everyone. This is Leah Tate. It is 1:20, and I would love to start our board meeting or restart our board meeting. Ms. Pruteau, are you available to call the roll?
I am. Thank you. Kasuga. Repeating Kasuga. Cervantes.
Here.
Fu.
Here.
Harbsheets.
Here.
Nystrom.
Here.
Phillips.
Here.
Frescate.
Here.
Rogers.
Here.
Tate.
Here.
And repeating again, Kasuga.
Let me just give her one more minute to jump on, please.
Make sure she's not waiting.
Oh, unmuted.
Oh, there she is. Let me move her up here. She had been somehow in the attendees, so let's see.
Hi, I just got promoted, so
Okay, thank
able to
you.
unmute myself.
And there is Kasuga. Thanks.
Perfect. Everyone's back. Thank you so much for being prompt. And let's just dive right back into agenda item number 14, the Legislative and Regulatory Affairs Update. And we are on section B. And Dr. Cervantes, please take us away.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Tate. Item B is legislation from the 2022 legislative session, review and possible action. The first item is review of bill for active position recommendations to the board. On some of these bills, Ms. Costa will provide updates that may have occurred since our board packets were prepared. The first one is item A, AB 1662 Gibson, Licensing Board's disqualification from licensure criminal conviction. This item begins on page 576 of the combined packet. Ms. Costa.
Thank you, Dr. Cervantes. Real quick, if meeting participants would like more information on the bills in item 14B, please visit leginfo, leginfo.legislature.ca.gov. Item 14B1A is AB 1662 by Assemblymember Gibson. This bill would authorize a prospective applicant that has been convicted of a crime to submit to any board or bureau a request for pre-application determination that includes information provided by the prospective applicant regarding their criminal conviction. The bill would require the board, once receiving that request, to determine if the prospective applicant would be disqualified from licensure by the board based on the information submitted with the request and subsequently deliver that determination to the prospective applicant. The Legislative and Regulatory Affairs Committee recommends the full board adopt an opposed position on AB 1662. The analysis goes into greater detail with the following concerns. Excuse me. Liability and risk, in that if the board is required to rely on information provided by the applicant, would the board be held liable if the predetermination is inaccurate? Increased workload, omission of charging fees to prospective applicants, although I'll have more about that, unanswered questions, and lack of specificity and significant cost pressures. This bill was heard in Assembly Business and Professions this past Tuesday, April 26th. The author accepted amendments that do the following. Allow for the board to require a prospective applicant to furnish a full set of fingerprints as part of a request for pre-application determination. Adds language clarifying that an adverse response from a board regarding an offense disclosed as part of a pre-application determination does not constitute a denial for any purposes of any law prohibiting reapplication when in a specified timeframe. If a pre-application determination reveals the potential for a denial, it requires the board to provide the following information in writing: a summary of criteria used, the process for the applicant to request a copy of their complete conviction history, and process to question the accuracy or completeness of the record, any existing procedure the board has to challenge the decision or request reconsideration following the denial of a completed application, including criteria related to rehabilitation, and the right to repeal the board's decision. It adds language expressly stating that a pre-application determination shall not be a requirement for licensure or participation in any education or training program. It requires the board to place information regarding the pre-application determination process on the website. And finally, the last amendment authorizes the assessment of a fee in an amount of up to no more than $50, not to exceed the reasonable cost of implementing the bill. Yesterday, board staff discussed the amendments and determined that they do not address the board's concerns. Staff also determined that the board would need one SSA position to meet the needs of the bill, which differs from the analysis of the introduced text in your board meeting materials, in which we initially specified half of a 0.5 of an SSA position. This bill is currently in the Assembly Appropriations Committee. It is sponsored by the Council of State Governments Justice Center and is opposed by two boards within DCA, the Board for Professional Engineers, Land Surveyors and Geologists, as well as the Dental Hygiene Board of California. That concludes my remarks on AB 1662. I am available for questions about the bill, analysis, or recommended position. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Costa. Is there any board comment or questions? Dr. Phillips.
I make a motion for the board to adopt an opposed position relative to this proposed legislation.
I second it, Dr. Harp-Sheets.
Thank you. We have a motion to oppose AB 1662 by Dr. Phillips and second by Dr. Harp-Sheets. I'm going to open public comment since I see no other board comment.
We have a motion to oppose. We are taking comments on this matter. If you would like to make a comment, please type the word comment into the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send that comment to all participants. If you are a dial-in user, please dial *3 to raise your hand. We will take comments in the order that they are received. Let us take just a moment now to see if we have a request for public comment.
I don't see any.
Seeing no requests for comments, would you like to close comments at this time?
Yes, please.
All right. And I have a note from Ms. Sorek saying that she is unable to unmute. Bear with us just a moment, please.
Okay.
Actually, that is for Dr. Kasuga.
Oh,
Oh, never mind. She's good now.
okay. Dr. Kasuga, do you have any comments on this item before we call the roll?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Okay. Well, we're glad to have you back. Okay, I see no other board comments on this item, so could we take the roll, Ms. Pruto?
Yes, Kasuga,
Aye.
Cervantes,
Aye.
Fu,
Aye.
Harp Sheets,
Aye.
Nystrom,
I apologize. I'm going to recuse myself.
Phillips,
Aye.
Rescate,
Aye.
Rogers,
Aye.
Tate.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. The motion passes. The motion to oppose AB 1662 passes. Thank you, everybody. The next item is letter B, AB 1733, Quirk, State Boards and Open Meetings. This item begins on page 585 of the combined packet. Ms. Costa.
Thank you, Dr. Cervantes. Item 14B1B is AB 1733 by Assemblymember Quirk. The bill, which would take effect immediately, would require all open meetings to be held by teleconference, would allow for the use of teleconference in closed sessions, and would remove existing provisions of the Act that require each teleconference location to be identified in the notice, agenda, and accessible to the public. The bill instead would require a state body to provide a means by which the public may remotely hear and observe the meeting and may remotely address the state body via two-way audio-visual platform or two-way telephonic service, and would require information to be provided in any notice to the public indicating how the public can access the meeting remotely. This bill would require the state body to provide members of the public a physical location to hear, observe, and address the state body, and would authorize members of the state body to participate in a meeting remotely or at a designated physical meeting location, and specify that physical presence at any physical meeting location is not necessary for the member to be deemed present at the meeting. The Legislative and Regulatory Affairs Committee recommends the full board adopt a support if amended position on AB 1733 Quirk. The board has moved to exclusively remote meetings because of COVID and has found the public participation has increased. The board would like the option to continue holding remote webcasted meetings and meetings that are webcast in person but not teleconferenced. The suggested amendment would provide a state body the option to hold an open meeting by teleconference. Additionally, this bill is currently double referred to both Assembly Governmental Organization and Assembly Business and Professions. The bill had committee hearings set but were postponed. And unfortunately, as Ms. Holmes stated, today is the deadline for all bills with fiscal impacts to get out of the first policy committee. Therefore, it is unlikely that this bill will move forward this year. That concludes my remarks on AB 1733 by Assemblymember Quirk. I am available for questions about the bill, analysis, or recommended position. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Costa. I'm noticing that there's a little bit of instability in my internet connection at this remote location. So bear with me. It'll go out and then I don't hear anything and then it seems to pop back in.
This is may I interrupt, please? This is the
Sure.
moderator. You have a closed captioning button in the lower left-hand corner of your screen, and that could possibly help you when audio cuts out.
Oh, good idea. Thank you so much. This is part of not meeting in our meeting like this. So thank you for that. It is better. Okay, so on this one, the recommendation is to take the position of support if amended. Do I hear a motion?
So moved. This is Seiran.
I second it. This is Dr. Kasuga.
been moved and second. It's been moved by Mr. Fu and second by Dr. Kasuga to support AB 1733 if amended. Is there any other board comment on this?
Madam Chair, just a quip that that the internet problems would be solved if we were able to meet in our own locations rather than these publicly noticed locations where we may not always have be as familiar as our surroundings. Though, Dr. Phillips, thank you for being so gracious and hosting me here. And it's working and it's wonderful.
Thank you, Mr. Fu. I do want to highlight that I think the staff analysis and recommendation was very thoughtful, and in bringing up all of the many dimensions and logistics that go into planning and coordinating these meetings. I see no other board comment on this. Let's go ahead and open public comment, and then we'll come back and take the roll.
We are now taking public comment on this matter. If you would like to make a comment, please type the word comment into the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send that comment to all participants. If you are a dial-in user, please dial *3 to raise your hand. We will call on commenters in the order we have requests. Let's take just a moment now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for public comment, would you like to close comments at this time?
Yes, please. Thank you. So if we have no other board comments, and I don't see any, then we have a motion by Mr. Fu and second by Dr. Kasuga to support AB 1733 if amended. Ms. Brito, can you call the roll?
Kasuga.
Aye.
Cervantes.
Aye.
Fu.
Aye.
Harb Sheets.
Aye.
Nystrom.
Recuse myself.
Phillips.
Aye.
Riscate.
Aye.
Rogers.
Aye.
Tate.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Item C is AB 2123 via Padua, Bringing Healthcare into Communities Act of 2023. This item begins on page 604 of the combined packet. Ms. Costa.
Thank you, Dr. Cervantes. Item 14B1C is AB 2123 by Assemblymember Villapudua. This bill, the Bringing Healthcare into Communities Act of 2023, would establish the Bringing Healthcare into Communities program to be administered by the California Housing Finance Agency to provide housing grants to specified health professions to be used for mortgage payments for a permanent residence in a primary care health professional shortage area as specified. Under the bill, a specified health professional would be eligible for a grant for up to 5 years. The bill would make its provisions operative upon appropriation by the legislature. The Legislative and Regulatory Affairs Committee recommends the full board adopt a support if amended position on AB 2123. This bill would provide mortgage assistance for mental and behavioral health professionals. However, psychologists and registered psychological associates are not explicitly listed in this bill. The board's suggested amendment would specify that licensed psychologists and registered psychological associates are eligible for housing grants. Additionally, this bill has been referred to the Assembly Housing and Community Development Committee. This bill had committee hearings set, but were postponed. Today is the deadline for all bills with fiscal impacts to get out of the first policy committee. Therefore, it is unlikely this bill will move forward this year. That concludes my remarks on AB 2123 by Assemblymember Villapudua. I am available for questions about the bill, analysis, or recommended position. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Costa. Is there any question on this bill for Ms. Costa? Do I hear a motion to support AB 2123 if amended?
So moved. This is Dr. Kasuga.
I'll second that. It's Leah Tate.
Thank you. It's been moved to support AB 2123 if amended by Dr. Kasuga and second by Dr. Tate. We'll go ahead and open public comment. And
I
then
do
we'll
have a
come back.
question though.
Oh, go ahead. Go
Dr.
ahead.
Cervantes. Ms. Costa, I just wanted to, if we have reached out to the legislative staff with regards our suggested amendments.
Great question. Yes, when I was initially analyzing the bill back in March, we did reach out to the staff. They were interested in the amendment. However, that amendment did not get put into print, and this bill will like I said, will likely not be heard this year. But we are open to continuing conversations with the author's office if this bill is introduced again next year.
Thank you.
So let's open public comment.
We are now accepting public comment on this matter. If you would like to make a comment, please type the word comment into the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of your screen and send that comment to all participants. If you are a dial-in user, please dial *3 to raise your hand. We will call on requests for comments in the order they are received. Let us take just a moment now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no requests for comment, would you like to close comments at this time?
Yes, please. Okay, so we have a motion to take a position of support if amended on AB 2123. The motion was by Dr. Kasuga and second by Dr. Tate. Ms. Pruteau, can you please call the roll?
Kasuga.
Aye.
Cervantes.
Aye.
Fu.
Aye.
Harb Sheets.
Aye.
Nystrom.
Recuse.
Phillips.
Aye.
Riscate.
Aye.
Rogers.
Aye.
Tate.
Aye.
Thank you.
The motion carries. Thank you. Item D is AB 2754, Bauer Kahan, Psychology Supervising Psychologist Qualifications. This item begins on page 611 of the combined packet. Ms. Costa.
Thank you, Dr. Cervantes. Item 14B1D is AB 2754 by Assemblymember Bauer Kahan. This bill would authorize remote psychological supervision. This bill was heard in Assembly Business and Professions on Tuesday, April 26, 2022, and the author accepted the board's amendments. These amendments, which were drafted by board staff, will clarify the definition of, quote, real time in relation to supervision to include in-person or synchronous audio-visual means in compliance with federal and state laws related to patient health confidentiality, as well as add an urgency clause so the bill takes effect immediately. These amendments went into print on April 27, 2022. The analysis specifies that board staff recommended The analysis specifies that board staff recommends the full board adopt a supportive amended position as adopted by the Legislative and Regulatory Affairs Committee. Since the author accepted the board's amendments and they went into print this week, instead board staff recommends the full board take a support position. The bill is currently in Assembly Appropriations, and it is sponsored by the California Psychological Association and supported by numerous organizations. That concludes my remarks on AB 2754 by Assemblymember Bauer-Cahan. I am available for questions about the bill, analysis, or recommended position. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Costa.
This is Dr. Harbsheets. I move
Go
that
ahead.
I move that we support this bill as amended.
This is Shakonda Rogers. I second.
Okay, thank you. So we have a motion to support AB 2754 as amended by Dr. Harbsheets and second by Dr. Rogers. Is there any board comment or questions with regards to this bill? Seeing none, could we open public comment?
We are now open for public comment on this matter. If you would like to make a comment, please type the word comment into the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of your screen and send that comment to all participants. If you are a dial-in user, please dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests for comments. Let us take about 20 seconds to see if we have a request for public comment. We have a request for comment from Jolinder Crow. Bear with us just a moment and we will send you a request to unmute your microphone.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Jolinder Crow with the California Psychological Association. We are very excited to be sponsoring this bill this year, and I want to thank the board staff for working collaboratively with us on some of the language improvements, and would respectfully request that the board take a support position on this bill. Thank you.
And there are no more requests for comments on this matter. Do you wish to close comments at this time?
Yes, please. And I see no other requests for board comments. So, Ms. Prateau, can you please take the roll on this motion to support AB 2754 as amended by Dr. Harbsheets and second by Dr. Rogers?
Yes. Kasuga.
Aye.
Cervantes.
Aye, very
Fu.
enthusiastically.
Fu.
Aye.
Harbsheets.
Aye.
Nystrom.
Recuse.
Phillips.
Aye.
Riscate.
Aye.
Rogers.
Aye.
Tate.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have had a lot of discussion in the last couple of years on this particular item. So hopefully we have some resolution soon. On item E, SB 1365 Jones, Licensing Board's Procedures. This item begins on page 621 of the combined packet. Ms. Costa.
Thank you, Dr. Cervantes. Item 14B1E is SB 1365 by Senator Jones. This bill would require each board within the Department of Consumer Affairs to publicly post on its internet website a list of criteria used to evaluate applicants with criminal convictions so that potential applicants for licensure may be better informed about their possibilities of gaining licensure before investing time and resources into education, training, and application fees. The bill would require DCA to establish a process to assist each board in developing its internet website. The bill would also require DCA to develop a process for each board to use in verifying applicant information and performing background checks of applicants, and would require that process to require applicants with convictions to provide certified court documents instead of listing convictions on application documents. This bill would further require each board to develop a procedure to provide an informal appeals process that would occur between an initial license denial and an administrative law hearing. The Legislative and Regulatory Affairs Committee recommends the full board adopt an opposed position on SB 1365 Jones. The analysis goes into greater detail with the following concerns. Lack of clarity regarding the criteria used to evaluate applicants with criminal convictions. Lack of clarity regarding the process for verifying applicant information and performing background checks of applicants using court documents instead of listing convictions. Potential financial detriment regarding costs to waive associated fees with the background check process. And lack of clarity regarding the informal appeals process. This bill is in Senate Appropriations. It is supported by the Board of Registered Nursing and the Little Hoover Commission. It is opposed by the Dental Hygiene Board of California. That concludes my remarks on SB 1365 by Senator Jones. I am available for questions about the bill, analysis, or recommended position. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Costa. Dr. Phillips.
I make a motion to oppose this particular piece of legislation.
Thank you, Dr. Phillips. Do I hear a second?
I will second Mr. Fu.
So we have a motion by Dr. Phillips to oppose SB 1365, and it was seconded by Mr. Fu. If I see no other board comments, so we're going to open public comment on this.
We are now accepting public comment on this matter. If you would like to make a comment, please type the word comment into the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send that comment to all participants. If you are a dial-in user, please dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on commenters in the order we have requests for comments. Let's take just a moment now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no requests for public comment, would you like to close comments at this time?
Yes, please. So our motion is to oppose SB 1365 by Dr. Phillips, second by Mr. Fu. Ms. Pruteau, can you call the roll?
Kasuga.
Aye.
Cervantes.
Aye.
Fu.
Aye.
Sheets.
Aye.
Nystrom.
Recuse.
Phillips.
Aye.
Riscate.
Aye.
Rogers.
Aye.
Tate.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. The motion carries. Item F, SB 1428, Archuleta Psychologist, Psychological Testing Technician Registration. This item begins on page 291 of the combined packet. Oops, I'm sorry. That it's not 291 of the combined packet. I don't have the correct page number on my notes here. But it's maybe Ms. Costa can help me.
637.
637. Thank you, Mr. Glass-Steagall. So item SB 1428 is page 637. Ms. Costa.
Thank you, Dr. Cervantes and Mr. Glass-Steagall. The final bill in item 14B is SB 1428 by Senator Archuleta. The memo, analysis, and proposed amendments are in the bill's meeting packet materials. This bill would create new registration within the Board of Psychology for psychological testing technicians. It would authorize an individual to provide psychological or neuropsychological test administration and scoring services if that individual is registered with the board as a psychological testing technician and meets the specified education requirements, or if the individual is gaining specified education requirements to be a psychological testing technician. The Legislative and Regulatory Affairs Committee recommends the full board take a support if amended position on SB 1428. The bill as written needs further clarification on requirements pertaining to the implementation date, education, registration, renewal, supervision, and enforcement, including fees related to psychological testing technicians. The analysis goes into greater detail into the need for these changes and includes proposed amendments. This bill is currently on the Senate floor and is sponsored by the California Psychological Association. That concludes my remarks on SB 1428 by Senator Archuleta. I am available for questions about the bill, analysis, or recommended position. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Costa. Is there any board comment? Do I hear a motion to take the position of support if amended on SB 1428?
So moved. This is Dr. Harpsheets.
Second by Dr. Kasuga.
Thank you. So we have a motion to support SB 1428 if amended. The motion was by Dr. Harpsheets and second by Dr. Kasuga. I don't see any board comment, so I'm going to open to public comment.
We are now taking public comment on this matter. If you would like to comment on the motion, please type the word comment into the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of your screen and send that comment to all participants. If you are a dial-in user, please dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on requests for comments in the order they are received. We have a request for comment from Elizabeth Winkelmann. Bear with us just a moment, and we will send you a request to unmute your microphone.
Hi, this is Dr. Elizabeth Winkelmann again from the California Psychological Association. I wanted to thank the board for their consideration of this bill, which CPA has sponsored, as you mentioned, and also to thank the board members and staff for working with us and giving us preliminary feedback on this. As you may recall, we brought the issue of the psychological testing technicians to the board back initially a few years ago. So again, just wanted to give our appreciation for your consideration and hope you will support the bill. Thanks.
And those are all the requests for comments that we have at the moment.
Okay, thank you. Well, yes, please. Let's close it. So our motion is to support SB 1428 if amended, moved by Dr. Harpsheets and second by Dr. Kasuga. Seeing no other board comment, Ms. Preto, can you take the roll?
Kasuga.
Aye.
Cervantes.
Aye.
Fu.
Aye.
Harpsheets.
Aye.
Nystrom.
Recuse.
Phillips.
Aye.
Riscate.
Aye.
Rogers.
Aye.
Great.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. So that concludes the new bills that we have now adopted positions on for this legislative year. I just want to thank both Mr. Glass-Steagall and Ms. Costa for updating us in real time. Up until yesterday, they were still reviewing and making sure that we had the most current information on each bill. That's the tricky part about having our meetings in the spring, is that all of these things are changing in real time, but I really appreciate that they were very thorough on that. For this next item, number 2, this is 14B number 2, we have a list of watch bills.
Good news that they are supporting both of our bills.
Did somebody want to comment? Did I miss something? Okay. So
My apologies, Ms. Cervantes. You will need to unmute again.
oh, okay. Sorry about that. Okay. So thank you, everybody. I hope I'm not sure when I lost myself here. But let's go with item 14, number 2. 14B item 2 is a series of watch bills that begins on page 663 of the combined packet. There is an analysis for each bill in the board packet. No board action is required for this item. However, if the members of the board wish to discuss any specific bill, this would be the time to do so. Would the board like to comment on any of the watch bills or have any questions for staff on those? So we did review these during our committee meetings, during our committee meeting on March 25th, and we had a discussion and public comment for each of the bills at that time. But for the sake of time, we're doing this as a whole agenda item right now. So seeing no board comment, let's open public comment for item 14B2, items A through J, the watch bills for 2022.
All right, we are now taking public comment on all the watch bills A through J. If you would like to make a comment, please type the word comment into the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send that comment to all participants. If you are a dial-in user, please dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests for comments. We're going to take just a few moments now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no requests for comments, would you like to close comments at this time?
Yes, please. Thank you. So now moving on to the next item is 14C. And this is legislative items for future meetings. The board may discuss other items of legislation in sufficient detail to determine whether such items should be on a future committee or board meeting agenda, and or whether to hold a special meeting of the committee or board to discuss such items pursuant to Government Code Section 11125.4. Is there any board comment, board or staff comment for future legislative items? Seeing none, could we open public comment on this item, 14C?
We are now taking public comment on 14C. If you would like to make a comment, please type the word comment into the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of your screen and send that comment to all participants. If you are a dial-in user, please dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will take requests for comments in the order they are received. Let's take just a moment now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no requests for public comment, would you like to close comments at, oh, hold on just a moment. We have a comment request from Joe Linder Crow. Bear with us just a moment and we will send you a request to unmute your microphone.
Hi, thank you very much. Dr. Joe Linder Crow, CPA. We would like to request that an item be placed on the August agenda regarding the wait times for licensing and I guess in general. I want to thank the board very much for the thorough discussion already today. We would like to request that it be agendized for August, just so that we can be sure that we are keeping it as a high priority for the board, and also that formally it will be on the agenda, so we'll be assured of getting updates, and also be able to provide any other information to the board that might be useful. So we would like to request it be an agenda item in August.
Thank you. We're right now on the future legislative items.
Oh, I apologize. I apologize.
Duly noted. Thank you. Thank you, though. Is there any other public comment on future legislative items?
Those are all the requests for public comment we have at the moment.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so that concludes item 14 of the agenda. Item 15 is discussion and possible adoption of continuing professional development regulatory package 16 CCR sections 1381.9, 1397.60, 1397.61, 1397.62, 1397.67, including consideration of comments received. This has been a long journey for this item that began as far back as November 2011. This is in the hand carry folder. The documents for this item are in the hand carry folder of the board packet. And earlier today, Mr. Glass-Steagall shared on page 255 of the combined packet, there is an implementation plan for this item. Mr. Glass-Steagall, can you update us on this item, present on this item?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. As you said, since November of 2011, the California Board of Psychology has been seeking to change the continuing education guidelines and requirements that must be completed by licensed psychologists when renewing, reactivating, or reinstating their license. In 2016, SB 1193 by Senator Hill modified existing law specifying that the board shall issue a renewal license only to an applicant who has completed 36 hours of approved continuing professional development in the preceding 2 years. This rulemaking file brings the board in compliance with changes enacted by SB 1193. This package was noticed for the initial comment period. The initial 45-day comment period on October 2nd, 2020. The initial comment period ended on November 17th, 2020, and the regulatory hearing took place on November 19th of 2020. The board considered the comments at the December 2020 board meeting and issued a notice of modified text on December 15th, 2020. The comment period for that modified text ended on January 6th, 2021. At the February 2021 meeting, the board voted to reject the comments received during the 15-day comment period as the comments were not germane and outside the scope of the revised text. This package was submitted to the Office of Administrative Law for their final review on October 1st, 2021. During the initial review, OAL suggested additional changes that were incorporated into the second modified text, which was noticed April 4th of 2022. The comment period on this modified text ended April 19th, 2022. This text also changed the implementation date of continuing professional development to January 1 of 2023. Lastly, at the direction of the Office of Administrative Law, staff individually summarized all comments from the 45-day and 15-day comment periods, both written and verbal, and responded to each one separately. Staff recommends that, after consideration of the comments received as reflected in attachments C and D, the board adopt the second modified regulation text with no further changes and approve all of the comments comment responses with the following motion. Adopt the second modified text as noticed. Approve the responses to all comments received during all comment periods. Delegate to the executive officer the ability to make any technical or non-substantive edits to the text in order to secure final approval from the Office of Administrative Law. I'm available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Glass-Steagall. Do I hear a motion to adopt this second?
Dr. Harpsheet, so moved.
Second, Phillips.
I got Harpsheets and Phillips.
Yeah.
Okay. The text that Mr. Glass-Steagall referred to is in that hand carry item, and I will repeat it before we take a vote. But we have the motion by Dr. Harpsheets and second by Dr. Phillips. Is there any board comment? I don't see any. Could we open public comment on this item, item 15?
We are now taking public comment on item 15. If you would like to make a comment, please type the word comment into the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of your screen and send that comment to all participants. If you are a dial-in user, please dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests for comments. Our first comment comes from Elizabeth Winkelmann. Bear with us just a moment, and we will send you a request to unmute your microphone.
Hi, Dr. Elizabeth Winkelmann again from California Psychological Association. I wanted to thank the board and the staff for their many years of work on this process and for considering many comments from CPA and our members along the way. I just had one question, and Mr. Glass-Steagall, forgive me if I've asked this in the past, but I know we're going to be getting questions about it, which is if the board does approve this current language today, when will the regulations be, when do you anticipate that the regulations will be officially approved? In other words, I believe there would still need to be one more review by the Office of Administrative Law or some other body. So I'm wondering if you could please clarify if there are any additional steps after the board approval, what those are, and the expected timeline. Thank you.
Dr. Winkelmann, I'm happy to explain. So once this vote is done by the board, staff will finish the final few pieces of documentation needed to resubmit the package to the Office of Administrative Law. Once they review the package and approve, the language will then go into print quarterly, but the language itself has start dates of January 1, 2023 for each of these sections. So even though the language may be visible under or in relation to each of the California Code of Regulations sections, they are not technically effective until January 1, 2023. But we should have, I'm hoping for an approval by the Office of Administrative Law, hopefully no later than July 1 of this year is my thought.
Thank you, Mr. Glass-Steagall. Is there any other public comment?
At the moment, there are no other requests for comment.
Okay, let's close the public comment.
Absolutely.
And I see no other board comments. Just want to check real quick. Okay, I see none. So let me repeat the motion and then call for the vote. So the motion is to adopt the second modified text as noticed, approve the responses to all comments received during all comment periods, delegate to the executive officer the ability to make any technical or non-substantive edits to the text in order to secure final approval from the Office of Administrative Law. The motion was made by Dr. Harp Sheets and second by Dr. Phillips. Ms. Pretot, please call the roll.
Kasuga.
Aye.
Cervantes.
Aye.
Fu.
Aye.
Harp Sheets.
Aye.
Nystrom.
Aye.
Phillips.
Aye.
Riscate.
Aye.
Rogers.
Aye.
Tate.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. The motion carries. Congratulations to everybody. Even though this presentation today only took us a few minutes, this represents at least 11 years worth of labor. And so it's a big moment. Thank you, everyone. So now we have item number 16. And this is the regulatory update, review and consideration of additional changes. This item begins on page 721 of the combined packet. There is no action required at this time, but Mr. Glass-Steagall?
Thank you very much. Just an update on this. I don't believe anything is different from the materials provided, but just to verbally state that the fee package is with the Office of Administrative Law, which I believe I mentioned earlier when we were discussing the legislation regarding our fee increase. The fee package, which goes to our current statutory ceiling, is at the Office of Administrative Law right now, and I believe they have until early May to review and provide feedback, which is hopefully just an approval to staff. Right after that is done, we are going to submit the retired license package to the Office of Administrative Law. It is done. We are just waiting on conforming changes to be made in the fee package. So once that is approved, we will turn around and submit the retired license package right away. Other than that, I believe that covers all updates, but I'm happy to provide any further information. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Glass-Steagall. Is there any board comment on this item? There's no action required. And we need to open public comment.
We are now accepting public comment on this matter. If you would like to make a comment, please type the word comment into the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send that comment to all participants. If you are a dial-in user, please dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests for comments. Let's take just a moment now to see if we have a request for public comment. Seeing no request for comment, would you like to close comments at this time?
Yes, please. Thank you so much, everybody. We got through a huge volume worth of work, an incredible amount in this last hour and a half, and I so deeply appreciate it. In our hand carry folder, there was a legislative calendar, and the next Legislative and Regulatory Affairs Committee is scheduled for Friday, June 10th. That is all that I have. This concludes my report, President Tate.
Thank you so much. Great work, Dr. Cervantes. And I know the board staff is as worked as you were trying to put everything together, but thank you for an amazing report. We are moving on to agenda item number 17, which is recommendations for agenda items for future board meetings. The board may not discuss or take action on any matter raised during this public comment section, except to decide whether to place the matter on the agenda of a future meeting. Mr. Moderator, can you please open public comment for agenda item number 17?
We are now taking public comments on agenda item 17, future agenda items. If you would like to make a comment, please type the word comment into the Q&A box in the lower right-hand corner of your screen and send that comment to all participants. If you are a dial-in user, please dial *3 to raise your hand, and we will call on people in the order we have requests for comments. And our first comment comes from Elizabeth Winkelmann. Bear with us just a moment, and we will send you a request to unmute your microphone.
Hi, Elizabeth Winkelmann from CPA again. I wanted to follow up on Dr. Joe Lindercrow's earlier comment earlier this afternoon. We very much appreciate the work of the licensing staff and understand that that department is understaffed at this time. And I also appreciate, we also very much appreciate the efforts underway to reduce processing times for psychological associates and psychologist applicants. My dog does not respect the do not disturb sign, sorry. Anyway, however, given the impact of the processing delays on entry to the profession and on access to care, I think it's important for this issue to remain a high priority for the board and the board staff. And therefore, I request that an item be placed on the agenda for the next board meeting to get an update and an opportunity for more discussion of both the processing times and also in the delays in response time to calls and emails that we've heard about from our members. Thank you.
Seeing no other requests for comment, would you like to close comments at this time?
Yes, please. Do any board members have any comments or recommendations for items for agenda item number 17?
Dr. Tate?
Sure.
This is Dr. Kasuga. I just wanted to make sure that we can have an agenda item for any pertinent updates to the EPPP2 for our next board meeting.
Absolutely.
As well as a request again for starting our meeting with meditation, as long as Dr. Rogers is open to leading us to another meditation.
Absolutely. I don't know if Dr. Rogers has a choice right now, but we're gonna keep putting her on the agenda.
I do not mind it at all. I'd be delighted to. Thank you so much.
Well,
Thank
you for
you.
helping us. Thank you, Dr. Kasuga. Any other board member suggestions or recommendations? Okay, we are moving on to item number 18. The board will meet in closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 11126, Subdivision C3, to discuss disciplinary matters, including proposed decisions, stipulations, petitions for reinstatement or modification of penalty, petitions for reconsideration, and remands. And just to be clear, we will not be coming back to open session. We will be adjourning our meeting in closed session after we complete board business. I'd like to thank everyone who participated today for spending your morning and early afternoon with us. We hope to have our August teleconference meeting, and we are hopeful that our November meeting will be in person. So thank you, and we are going into closed session.